Singapore on a broken track, let's change it. And the broken track is provided by none other than PAP. Well, I've been talking about a lot of things lately, things broken down and all that. Now I'm going to go into something more specific. Not only that things are broken down. In the past, when we first started as a small nation, Goh Keng Swee, Hon Sui Hsian, Lee Kuan Yew, they are very thrifty, right? They don't anyhow spend money. At one point of time, maybe good, maybe bad, but in general, it helps us to develop our country without much large debt. Also thanks to our CPF system, right? But basically, we do not incur large government international debt during that period of time, and we enjoy a rapid growth, right? That cannot be denied. Okay. However, when it comes to the next generation, right? Well, you see, Goh Keng Swee is so thrifty that he even opposed to build the MRT back in the 1980s, right? And of course, now we know it was approved later, and his idea is actually not sustainable in the long term. But having said that, right, nobody is perfect, right? Our judgment at different point of time, right, will have many other considerations. So spending $6 billion or $8 billion back then is a lot of money, right, to build the MRT. The MRT actually started with a north-south line. Then actually, if I'm not wrong, if I remember correctly, from Woodlands, right, all the way to City Hall first, right? Then they built the east-west line, right? Very short one. It cost about $6 billion to $8 billion. Then we extended the northeast line and all that, so on and so forth, right? Because back then their concept is we are not going to have 6 million people or even 7 million or definitely not 10 million people. So their concept was maximum 4 million people. So you must understand the context why there was a debate about whether to spend that money to build the MRT system, right? And it was built, and good for us. It's still money well spent in that sense, right? For $8 billion back then. Because in Hong Kong built its MRT system much earlier, in the early 1980s. We are actually late by about, if I'm not wrong, by calculation, about 6 years or more than 6 years, right? I think the first Hong Kong MRT subway was built in 1978 or 1979, right? I have to double check. 80s, okay. My wife says 80s, right? Early 80s. So we were somehow late in that sense, but it's okay. Money is still well spent in that sense, okay? But along the way, when the country get more wealthy, richer, the government get more money through GST, COE, and privatization of the government-owned assets like the telecoms, okay, power station, SP, Singapore Power, which subsequently sold out the power stations, right? A lot of money came in, right? And all this money actually are hard-earned money for Singaporeans. Whether it is so, it's definitely so, right? before Temasek and GIC really earned big money from overseas. So part of it is asset enhancement, because with asset enhancement, they start selling flats to put up high land costs. Of course, they earn money. But this money go into SLA, went into the reserve, right? Which in turn earn money. And to some extent, the CPF system is unfair to Singaporeans. Well, this I will not touch. I will touch it. I will talk about it in the next couple of talks. Okay, it's unfair to us. Right? Actually, I have touched on, briefly talk about it, because the so-called guarantee 4% or 2.5% is actually the minimum. Guarantee means, in a normal sense, is it can go up further, 6%, 8%, 10% yearly. But if it drops below 4%, the government guarantee 4%. That is called guarantee. But in PAP concept, is guarantee is fixed, right? That's called fixed deposit rate. It's not guarantee rate, right? So it's unfair to us because whatever earns much more from our money went to the government. That is actually implicitly a tax on our CPF, right? A tax on our CPF revenue, right? That's a finance concept. If you want to look at things like that, never mind. When the government gets wealthy, they give themselves, the ministers, higher pay, highest pay in the world, right? Political office holders, right? So they justify, wow, we know how to squeeze all of you, so you all have to give us more money. Quite ironic, right? Very ironic, right? But Singaporeans actually buy their reasoning because Singaporeans keep voting them, right? You are voting people who ask you to give them the highest pay in the world because they know how to squeeze you more. I always find it quite funny in that sense, right? But nevertheless, that's what we choose as a nation. But it's okay. Then GST came, started with 3%, right? Then it went to 5%, 7%, and now 9%. They say, oh, GST is needed because aging population, so forth and so forth. However, if they are prepared to subsidize us for our healthcare when we get older, how come they keep increasing the MediShield premiums up to more than 30% for the older people? In spite of the fact that the last check, I do not know the figures now, the last check that MediShield is the most profitable insurance scheme as compared to the private. Most profitable in the sense that out of every year, the premium they collected, their payout is only 30% to 40% of the total revenue. And yet they want to increase the premium on the pretext that, oh, you have a wider coverage and all that. But look, I thought the concept is we have to take care of our own health. All right, never mind. In GE, the general elections 2015, right, there were already talks about PAP is going to increase GST. Right? I actually believe in that because the way they spend money is really like open tap. Right? The water keep dripping like that. Why? A simple rubbish bin collection center can cost $800,000. My goodness. They justify of consultancy work and all that. which cost $400,000. That's how they spend money. Akong money ma, never mind ma. That is not all. That is actually chicken feed, okay? Peanuts to them. Later on, they came about the T5, which is still ongoing. They actually plan to expand the airport, Terminal 5, without even have an idea what it will cost the taxpayers eventually. Right? So back then, we are actually talking about most likely it will increase GST. So Low Tia Kiang actually, in one of his rally, he said that if we give PAP a blank check, unchecked, right, the PAP government will increase the GST. Right? So Lee Hsien Loong came out to quash, right, WP's GST claim. Right? What he says, he denies, of course. It means he denies that PAP will do that. Why? He says this. What will make you need to raise GST? Profligate spending and irresponsible, unsustainable plan. That is what will hurt and require you to raise taxes and GST. That is his exact words. Right? He denied. We have no plans to raise GST. But, right, from 2015 to 2020 is one term. Before the terms end, suddenly we have Heng Swee Keat, if I remember correctly, right, start to say, oh, we might need to raise GST. Wow, roti prata peng. Okay? Right? But of course, they kept the promise not to raise GST in that term. But when it comes to the next term, 2020, after that, right, cannot wait already. Need to increase GST. 2023, 1% to 8% GST. Now, 2024, another percent. Oh, now they justify. It's not because we run spend, right? Anyhow spend money. Profligate. Wow, what a word. I learned this word. I learned a lot of cheap word from them, right? Profligate spending. An irresponsible plan. Unsustainable plans. They say, no, it's not because of that. It's because we have an aging population. As if aging population is a new thing. We already know that we are going to have an aging population. That's why our so-called minimum sum keep increasing. Hey, aging population or not aging population, right? We have a CPF system, we have a MediShield system, we have 3M system, MediShield, MediSave, and MediFund. So we are what you're talking about. You need more money, taxpayers' money, right, to take care of an aging population. It is supposed to be a self-sustaining system. If it's not, that means your system actually screw up. And I explain why. Because they link CPF to the mortgage payment of your HDB and all your properties. That is why saving not enough. Right? They refuse to admit that. But is it really because of aging population? Nonsense. If aging population, that means every year must increase GST. 10 years must increase 10%. It cannot be, right? You have to grow your government revenue. Growing the government revenue, there are many ways. One of the ways is increase GDP. Right? By increasing GDP, you tax income tax, corporate tax, then your tax revenue increase. Okay, of course, tax increase GST is the fastest one, right? Right? The most efficient way of doing it, right? But I would say they are basically bullying us, right? They actually plan to increase GST, but they have to find an excuse. And the excuse, we become the excuse because we are getting old. That's why they have to increase on us. What nonsense am I? I'm going to raise a few examples. The T5 is one of the examples. How they spend money is like water. Right? And I happened to go to Cheng San because that's where my late mother used to stay. I used to grow up there. And my sister are staying down there, so I go visit quite frequent. And they have this Cheng San Market Food and Hawker Food Center. It was closed for months, I think 4 months or more, for renovation. A 4 months renovation, how much it costs? I don't know. Millions, right? Nowadays, no 10,000 or 100,000 anymore. Most contracts are all millions one. It's how many zeros to add only, right? Then, after waiting for so long, what they did, this is what they like to do, right? They like to, the flooring, hack all the flooring up and put a new tiles and say it's anti-slip tiles. Well, hey, hello, anti-slip tiles is not something new. Why didn't you do it in the last renovation? Or when you build the whole place? Market is supposed to wet, right? Wet market, correct? But no, they not only the market, they whack the tiles, right? The shop houses, in front of shop houses, all change the tiles. I look at the tiles, there's nothing special about it. They've been doing this, not only in Cheng San, everywhere. Okay, just hack the tiles, change the tiles, even the void deck, right? Just change the tiles. Or we have done upgrading, right? Renovate the toilet, also upgrading, or a basin, a new basin, also something that needs 4 months to do it, right? They change the tables. Hey, all the tables are still can use what? Why you need to change the tables? All the chairs are still working, still functioning. Why you do that? Right? What they didn't do are the most important things. Okay? Because I walk through the hawker center. Okay lah, new tables lah, new flooring, okay. But not very impressive. Because the hawker stores are still the same. Right? Okay? Never mind. I go to the wet market expecting to see some improvement because wet markets are very wet and there are a lot of old people. And when you have wet floors, it's very easy for old people to slip and fall. Right? But they didn't change anything that improved the drainage. And the stores, right, are forever so untidy. That type of design was 30 years old, more than 30 years old, maybe 40 years old design. But they're still using it. Nothing changed. So, not only I'm not happy, I tell you, right? This guy, someone actually, after I put up my post about Cheng San, and this is not about Cheng San, right? This is about another upgrading project. They like to spend a lot of money on all this, right? For some reasons, it creates jobs, of course. It create money, create GDP, right? Of course, it create business opportunity for their subcontractors, who are, a lot of them are PBM, BBM, right? Now, when we look at this, it says this one is talk about Old Airport Road. I also visited Old Airport Road. Nothing changed much. Nothing really changed. Okay lah, you have new tables. So what? Right? Or put a big fan down there. But it's still hot. Why? This guy said right. Because you put a new fan down there, if the whole place is still hot due to the hawker cooking, right? The hot air was still stir lah. Same down there. It doesn't make any cooling effect. You have to suck out the heat, right? Disperse the heat outside of the hawker center, and the new air will come in, then it will have the cross ventilation effect. Right? But no, it didn't. And he says, okay, new tables make the place even more cramped. Okay, this is not I say one. This guy is not PPP's member, right? And Old Airport Road also went through a few months renovation. And you know what? Old Airport Road is run by NTUC, if I'm not wrong, if I remember correctly, right? NTUC social enterprise will run this hawker center. So you spend money doing renovation, then increase rental, but where is the value add? It is a mindset, you know. People are spending money like nobody business. Right? I will show you some of the newer wet market in Hong Kong, how they do it. Right? You might mistake this as some atas supermarket. It is not. It is actually a wet market. It is actually a wet market. You see, the fruits are properly put, right, displayed, right? And there's no blockage along the pathway. And there's no water. I can tell you, I imagine you are not there. I was there, right? When you walk through, it's amazing, because this market, before it was renovated, it was very dirty, it was very wet, water everywhere. But after the renovation, right, the wet market becomes dry, right? Why? Because there are proper compartmentalization, proper design of display parts, which prevented water from spilling out. Okay, these are the tapin lo. Tapin lo, that means all those are steamboat stuff they sell, right? Properly organized, right? This one is from one of the very far away in Ma On San, right? Which I went there twice, before they renovate and after they renovate. This one is some place where I used to visit often, right? You might mistake it is some supermarket. No, it's not. It's a wet market. Of course, it's run by a private entity, okay? A REITs called Link, right? Link REITs. I do not have the old photos of the before and after contrast. But trust me, it used to be very smelly, because the wet market is all wet, dirty, very bad drainage. So all the filthy water have all the smell that comes out, right? But after they renovate, the smell gone. Why? Even the vegetables are properly put. If you go to the wet market in Singapore, I think the younger working class may not. Only old people like us will go to wet market. It's not that. They don't have enough space to put display. Right? No proper place to put display. So it's all over the place. They display out on the path. Of course, this one is managed in such a way that you will be fine if you put out. And you look at the this type of so-called plastic bag is properly put. It's just like a supermarket, Right? I think Fair Price cannot fight this type of design. Okay. This is for the veggie. Now, in Hong Kong, they like fresh fish, live one, right? Still 游水one, still swimming around one, right? Even with that, the floor is not wet. Because the design is so perfect that you can put all this, all the live fish jumping around, okay, without having any problem at all. You go to our wet market, even though they are selling dead fish, right? The water was spraying all over the place, right? This is how they manage. Proper compartmentalization. And these are the meat store, butcher. Right? Of course, in Singapore, we have butcher with a chiller and all that. But they sell fresh meat. That means not chill one. Right? Fresh from the abattoir. Right? But yet, very neatly done. I've seen the similar things in United Kingdoms also, Birmingham. Right? These are fruit store. You try going to our fruit stores. You see, all these are very close to our life. Because still a lot of people go to wet market to buy stuff, especially the older generation. If you can find one market in Singapore without wet floors, right? Wet market without wet floors, right? Let me know. But I can find it in Hong Kong. Never mind whether it's privately run or so. It provides a competition, right? If it's organized well, designed well, right? It provides a model for the government-run wet market to follow, right? It's the same in Singapore, right? We also subcontract to social enterprise, right? The hawker stores and the market. So what's the diff? You mean government cannot do the same? Government got even more money to do the same thing, right? But why isn't the government spending on this necessity? Instead of something that is have little effect, little value for money. 做了好像没有做这样，做了跟他没做，你看 ，okay? When you spend the money, better make sure it is well spent. Every cent count, right? And you know what? In 2013, they started this. They started to plan for the Tampines Hub. Now, I'm going to contest in Tampines. Right? I had contest in Tampines in 2011. Okay? So, after the election, right, they have come up with a master plan, right, to say we are going to build a Tampines Hub. It actually demolished the original part. Is actually a stadium where we had our rallies, the stadium to build this, a mega project. May 11, 2013, groundbreaking. I think it was completed, right? It was completed in August 2017. Guess how much they spent? Right? $500 million. $500 million. With a mini stadium inside, with a hawker stores inside, right? Not only hawker stores, they have eateries inside, and a big hall with a big screen down there. If you ever visited that place, right, which I have, right, you can see the old people, nothing to do, just sit down there and watch TV. And most of the time, most of the time, the propaganda will keep repeating themselves on the big screen also. Okay, and that is how they spend money. In Budok, where I stay right now, also have what? The heartbeat at Budok. Similar concept, but smaller in size, right? The CC, because this is run by the PA, People's Association, right? Run these places, right? Well, CC used to provide badminton hall, basketball court, right? Activities hall, so on and so forth. But now they are running stores and rental of stores. Okay, they are running all those retail stores also, restaurants inside. But I want to ask, I'm really curious. If I'm in Parliament, I will ask this, You have our Tampines Hub, you spend $500 million, $500 million. Okay? $500 million. What is the maintenance cost per year? And what is the rental returns that you get? And how much surplus or deficit you need to you get from the whole thing, the whole project? I'm very interested to know. Because remember the Durian Esplanade, when they built that thing, I think also $500 million, like 500 million, Esplanade. Right? But the maintenance cost is humongous. And every year, they're losing money. I think 50 million or so. I do not know what's the status right now. Even though they have rented out place, have a rental stores, restaurants and all that, they still lose money by virtue of maintaining that place alone. The cost is humongous. Is that sustainable? Remember what Lee Hsien Loong says? You will only increase GST. You have profligate spending, unsustainable projects spending. Because every year you are bleeding money, hard-earned money into all these projects just for the maintenance alone. Right? Now, as if this is not enough, right? They started to plan for this. Interesting. Right? The National Square, NS Square, National Service Square. Right? This CNA website says. Remember the so-called National Day, we used to have it in National Stadium. So they pulled out the National Stadium, spent billions of dollars to rebuild the place, remember? Then they subcontract out for people to run it. And in the end, we are deprived of the space to have our National Day celebration. 強咗咪幾強? You thought you can have world-class national stadium, a world-class stadium. You go and tear out the old stadium, spend billions of dollars, build a new one, right? Ask a consortium to run it, then suddenly cannot run it, always at a loss because the maintenance cost, again, is too high, and unable for us to carry out our usual National Day parade there. In the end, we have to find another place in Marina Bay, right? Create a platform, right? Or in Pandang. Then after you realize that it is too costly for us to have National Day parade in there because all the grass are all those fake grass right? When you go and step on it, not fake grass right? When you step on it, you destroy the grass it's very expensive to replace. That's why they do not want National Day parade to be conducted there. Then you you thought you are very clever, you did something, but in the end, you have to spend another $600 million. This is the quotation, the bidding, right? $600 million just to build another platform place called the NS Square for us to conduct our yearly National Day parade. Okay? Black and white. That's how it costs. And yet we do not know what is the maintenance cost again. Right? You see, building grand structures are easy, but how to maintain it, how to keep the maintenance minimal is another. How to cover the maintenance cost is not that easy. Right? Now they tell us we want to build the Founders Memorial Hall from $230 million jump to $335 million. Right? Do you have a concept of what $1 million worth or not? I give you one very simple example. Most people stay in HDB flat. Okay. Nowadays, if you want to build a HDB 4-room flat, okay, which includes all the car park and all that average cost, that's how they count right? The car park is inclusive, and the mama shop, whatever shop, amazing in one precinct. Right? On average, a 4-room flat will cost about $180,000 to $220,000 to build. Right? Costing, That's why when they sell you at $300,000, $400,000, right, is the so-called land cost added to it. Right? They are making money through the selling land to you, but they say they are in deficit. Right? That's another story. They tell you HDB is making a loss. But the actual fact is they didn't tell you SLA is making money. It's from the left pocket to the right pocket, the so-called subsidy. But it's okay. We take the cost of building 4-room flat. One 4-room flat on average $200,000. Do you know how many 4-room flats can you build if you spend $600 million? $600 million on a NS Square. It's 3,000 HDB flat, 4-room flat. 3,000. I think it's more than one precinct already. That is the concept. Tell you 500 million, maybe you have no concept. Right? And to put it in another perspective, right? Let's say a low income earner, right, can earn $20,000, $20,000 per month. No, $20,000 per year. How much how much money or how long will this $600 million serve this particular person? Thousands of years. That is the concept. And it seems nobody is checking on their costing. Nobody is questioning why you want to spend so much money. NS Square for show. For one show every year. National Day Parade. NS Square is going to be completed, supposedly to completed, expected 2027. Right? Founders Memorial, you add These two add together is about $1 billion already. What is the concept of $1 billion? Right? Now you know why they want to increase GST. I don't think it got anything to do with the immediate needs for the aging population. There's no immediate need. The immediate need is to feed all these subcontractors, these contractors, by millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in the billions. And now you know why. The People's Association budget per year is $1 billion. Okay? It started off with tens of billions, millions, then hundreds of millions, and now 1 year is $1 billion for the People's Association. So we come back to what Mr. Lee Hsien Loong says in 2015. Make no mistake about this. These are just the tip of the iceberg. Right? We still have the upcoming CC. You know, they revamp a lot of CCs. And who owns or who runs this CC? The People's Association. Okay? For example, one CC in Bukit Timah, they revamp it. They demolish the market, the hawker center. There's one hawker center in Bukit Timah. So they are going to build an integrated compound for the CC as well as the hawker center, as well as transport hub, blah, blah, blah. Guess how much it costs? Over $200 million. That's 1,000 four-room flat. And this is not the only CC under revamp. Thomson CC under revamp, right, before the COVID 2019, right? But the company go bust due to COVID maybe, right? So it was retender, and it cost about $20 million for one CC. How many CCs do we have in Singapore? Why are they spending so much money on the People's Association, CCs? Well, yes, for citizens, especially older citizens like to go to CC and sit down and do nothing and watch TV. And I was in Budok, the Heartbeat. What do they watch? Well, a lot of propaganda, government propaganda, keep coming up on. Okay, but do they provide more meaningful activities other than that? A big screen with a big fan and with lots of propaganda. Maybe yes, they do. Right? They do aerobics, right? Yeah, good. But do you need to spend hundreds of millions of dollars just for that? I do not know. I find that this is unsustainable because it's, as I said, it's not just building cost of the CC. It's the maintenance cost that will kill you in the long run. Right? And definitely, I do not think whatever the PAs can charge this, charge that, will recover the cost for the maintenance of the whole place. And who will foot the bill? We will foot the bill by having higher GST. That's what he says, right? Some people actually tell me, oh, if Singapore stop building, then we are done for. No, no, no. It's not true. Whatever model you put up, it must be self-sustaining. You don't build for the sake of building, to look grand. Right? A few hundred millions here, a few hundred millions there. Very fast, your coffers is, no matter how many trillions you have, very fast it will run out. Right? It will run dry. I'm not so sure, right? Because I'm not in parliament, right? I don't have resources. I cannot employ people go and do research, in-depth research of all the infrastructure spending, right? What is the impact on us as a taxpayer? But I get very worried whenever I drive around Singapore. Everywhere is construction, right? Everywhere they are building MRT station. One MRT station already $500 million, correct? That's big. Every station only, one station is $500 million, $500 million. So the more station they build, how many billions dollars have gone into that? And I believe that is the reason why they need to increase GST. It's not about us being old age, because we grow old very slow, right? But they are spending money faster than we grow old, okay? And they are building MRT station that is not making profit. They're losing money, right? The Thomson East Coast Line. And worse, they are having, in Marine Parade, remember, the 7 feeder service, so-called, or the services they provide with their MPs face down there, $1 million a year. But most of the time, bonang eh. And the worst part is this. CDC, they say CDC sponsored $200,000. Now I want to ask, where does the CDC get the funding from? Do you know? You don't know. Every working class, right? Every Chinese that works, every Singaporean that works, will automatically, right? Big companies will automatically deduct your salary, right? $1, $2, I think $3 now, to contribute to the CDC fund. Unless you actually opt out, then they will not deduct. Automatic one. So they feel rich. They feel very rich. Don't know where to spend. They throw $200,000 or give to the MP, PAP MP, to do promotion like that. In the name of, provide convenience for the residents. But what is the impact? ROI, return of investment. There's no audit on that. Right? Nobody audit. That is problem. Nobody audit the PA assets like our Tampines Hub. Right? What is actually the ROI? Do we have an audit on that? Maybe yes, but I didn't see. Right? Now, talking about this OTLH, during the presidential election, if you remember, right, Tan Kin Lin started his presidential election right in our Tampines Hub. Then what will happen? Then they are very kanchong. The PA people come down. Cannot, you cannot do this here. I asked, why cannot? Then they call in the police some more, the security guard, right? Want to chase that out. This is managed by PA. You cannot do this, right? Then I actually quite angry because I'm the election agent for Kin Lin, Mr. Tan Kin Lin. So I said, look, is this an open space? People can walk in and out. That's number one. Right? There's no gate. That's number two. And most importantly, who fund this whole building? It's not PA, it's the taxpayers like me. And you're telling me that I cannot conduct a legitimate political activities, campaign on the premise that's funded by taxpayers' money? Only the PAP MPs with a change of titles of a grassroots advisor can use this whole place. No wonder they are giving PA so much money to spend, to build grand buildings, to build all these structures. 500 million also never mind, 600 million also put. Because ultimately, opposition like us cannot conduct our campaign there. But right, even if we become the MP, right, we cannot use the premise, so-called. But the PAP appointed candidates or MPs can be the grassroots advisor and use it. Right? What is the cost? I tell you what is the cost. The cost is actually the PA's annual budget, $1 billion per year. Some people, I always tell people, we never see opposition walk about, appear in the community, do anything to serve the residents. I say, how are we going to serve you? Right? And no matter how we serve you, no matter how much money we throw in, right? No matter how many packets of rice that we send, right? The PA at the back have $1 billion budget. What do we have? We can never fight the PAP on that ground because of the enormous funding, direct or indirect, right? Supported by the PAs. And PAs, the People's Association is directly under what? The Prime Minister office. It's not an independent thing. It's right under the PMO. So my dear Singaporeans, open up your eyes. But we may be small compared. But I always tell people that support our opposition. Why? For every dollar that I spend, okay, I'm proud to say I make PAP spend even more money for the people. But of course, sometimes they spend too much on themselves. Build grand buildings like that. Right? But at least some parts of it, some of our residents enjoy the facilities there. But we need more voices in the parliament. We need more people to do audit on the ROI, on all the spending, all the millions of dollars, not millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, to account for it. And even for every MRT station that you build, $500 million, $500 million is not all, because there are maintenance costs. And every time LTA will come back, oh, you see, we are losing money, to sustain the network and all that. That's why we need to increase your fare. But in the first place, if you keep building the train network that is not going to make money anyway, because it's logical, right? You're building a line through private estates, low density, right? And most importantly, the private estate, most of them drive, they don't take MRT. Of course, you're going to lose money. And then you come back and tell me you're losing more money and you need to raise our fare. Is it fair to us? Because you have invested in something that is unsustainable. Remember what he said? Unsustainable. Therefore, you need to not only raise the fare, you need to raise the GST. That's my conclusion. I do not know about you. Okay? I hope you can see clearly in the coming election. If we allow PAP carries on what he is doing right now, the broken track will cause us to be derailed. Okay? The whole country will go derailed. Just because they are spending like nobody business, like an open tap. Thank you for watching, and I hope you can support us in the coming election by donating to our effort. Remember, for every dollar that you donate, right, you are going to make this government pay attention to your needs and spend more money on you instead of grand buildings, Founders Memorial Hall, or grand buildings for the People's Association that serve the PAP political interest. Thank you and good night.